right, everybody. Thank you so much. Welcome to 45 at 445. So we have about 20 companies, tech companies, and commercial real estate that are here. You've seen a few of them on the panels. They're going to give you their 45-second pitch, and then they're going to take some questions from our panel right here. So first of all, I'd like to thank Elm Spring. Tom Bretz is a founder here. Thank you, Elm Spring, for putting this on. They are a real estate incubator here in Chicago, for those of you who aren't aware. They're fantastic. We're a big supporter of them. They've been supporting us, and we're really happy. So without further ado, let's bring to you the first Disruptor. And Tom, take it away.
All right. They have 45 seconds. First off, from Chicago, Illinois, Remeter. Remeter is an innovative software platform offering a variety of high-level products for the commercial real estate industry. Remeter.
All right, thank you. So Remeter has created the first credit score for commercial real estate. So we have exclusive access to IRS census and labor data, and so we can actually benchmark companies against their peers before a landlord would sign a lease. So we like to call it a FICO-like score for commercial real estate. So we're revolutionizing the way you underwrite. The cumbersome process to underwrite right now takes days, sometimes weeks. We can do it instantaneously, and we have a better data set than anywhere else in the country. So we can give a true result, unbiased result of how a company's performing against their local competitors. From revenue, profitability per attorney or per employee. You can do EBITDA to rent ratios. You can do all sorts of things that nobody else in the market can do. So I don't know how long I have. Okay.
How do you compare to a Peerscape or to a Bloomberg or a D&B, those type of services?
Yeah. So a D&B tracks about 1 million companies. We actually have access to 27 million companies through the IRS. So we have every single company that files a tax return. So if I'm doing a deal with you, with a law firm or somebody, if you're on the landlord side, you'll get 2 years of financials. We only need 8 line items to upload into our system. We can then pull every other law firm in Chicago or Austin or wherever you are, and we can now rank you from revenue, profitability, everything. So we're giving the landlords more information than the actual tenants will even know about their own industry. It's very powerful.
So presuming that data is public, how do you stay ahead of someone else trying to do the same thing? DMB for that example.
Right. So it's actually quasi-public. There's basically a professor out east who has a contract with the federal government, and we get the information de-identified. So what we can do is, if we know the location and the type of industry through the NICS code, which is the census tracts, we can then pull an aggregated set of data. So if I get your company's financials and put it into our system, and we can pull every one of your competitors in an aggregated set, and that's how we can rank you. So I can't go get an individual company's tax return because that's illegal, but we can get the aggregated set of any industry, any market, anywhere, and since I get the tenants, that's how I can rank you, because the tenant gave me their information.
So who's going to buy it, when in the transaction?
Yeah, so
how much?
Basically, it's basically when you're at letter of intent stage. Right now we're targeting the landlords because the landlords pay for everything. Tenant reps don't like to pay for anything, and they don't want to ask their clients to pay anything. So basically when you're at letter of intent stage is when you typically ask for tenants' financials anyway. So we have a simple PDF form. If they fill it out electronically, it'll upload straight into our system. You put in the lease terms, and we have an instantaneous report for you. The cost is 10 cents a square foot. So we do it per transaction cost. There's not a subscription model. You can use it if you want. You don't have to. We cap that at $1,500. So for any deal size over $15,000, it's going to be 8 cents or 2 cents or 1 cent or half a cent a foot. And the ROI, basically, we're saving landlords over 80% of their underwriting costs if they outsource this now. We're saving them 48 hours to 2 weeks of time. We're making them way more productive. And the most important thing, the ROI to us is about 400 to 1. So if we prevent you from doing one bad deal, this will pay for your reports for the next 10 years.
All right.
Is that it? Thanks. All right.
Next up, from Chicago, Illinois, so good we've seen them twice, Pure Realty. Pure Realty is the Midwest's premier real estate crowdfunding platform. Gain insider access to high-quality opportunities with top developers.
Thank you, Tom. My name is Jordan, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pure Realty, the Midwest's premier crowdfunding platform. What we do is we democratize and revolutionize the investment process, allowing for the first time the diversification of a portfolio into real estate. I'll stop there.
How do you get the wackos out? How do you keep
on what side of the deal?
So if you're on the so how do you? So we hear from companies that are qualifying the corporate owners, and it's tons of credit checks and lots of reputation checks and so forth. How do you do that in the crowdsourcing model?
On the investor side.
On the investor side.
Yeah, so I mean, our process really, we go through a limited diligence on the investor, but because of the structure that we have, we've actually insulated the developer from contact and from parity. So the investor has to deal with us. Additionally, because they're smaller and passive investments, the energy required to go after the deal is really, it doesn't incentivize that type of reaction.
And are these accredited investors?
Correct.
Okay.
At the moment.
So I have a general question, which is, what do you think is the crime that the first person in the crowdfunding business is going to go to jail for?
I mean, general fraud. But it'll happen, 100%. There's no question. So it'll be general fraud. I actually think it'll be a lack of due diligence on the accredited verification side. And that will allow a non-accredited investor to invest in the deal, which blows up the entire deal. And then because that investor, that issuer, can't pay everybody their money back, he'll go to jail. So
Good
we
answer.
do not want to do that.
Don't do that.
So there's a lot going on, a lot of debate going on about whether it should be opened up. Crowdfunding platforms in general should be open to non-accredited investors. What do you think?
Yeah, I think strongly that it should, but there should be some regulations. I worked on and assisted the drafting for the intrastate Illinois crowdfunding regulations, allowing for qualitative restrictions. So, if you are a JD MBA that worked for 2 years in nonprofit, you are more than educated enough to make an investment decision, but currently you're not allowed. And to me, that's ridiculous. And so I think, what we see with Title III and the limits on what you can lose, I think will be okay. But really, when the industry gets exciting is when we start adding those qualitative measures and opening up investment opportunities to non-accredited investors, but those with the sophistication to invest alongside, a rich doctor who apparently is sophisticated.
All right.
All right, next up, from Minneapolis, St. Paul, CRELO. CRELO is a matchmaker for tenants and office space, an unbiased, fun, comprehensive website bringing sophisticated, easy-to-use tech to commercial real estate.
Thank you.
That's what CRELO does. We listen. Tenants come to our website and tell us exactly what they need. We then post those needs, and they're available to the entire market. Owner reps with the match submit bids directly to those tenants, and if the tenants like what they see, we introduce them. Tenants find the perfect fit because with CRELO, the perfect fit comes to them. It's really that simple. And thank you.
So, long time ago in Seattle, far, far away, I actually started a company called Qubits.com, which was a demand-driven marketplace with a blind match. It didn't work. And it may be that it was ahead of its time, or maybe that it was just wrong. Question is, why do you think that the internet has been around and available for 15 years? This model has been tried before. Why do you think it's going to work this time?
Well, the web has actually been around for 21 years. It can buy a beer now. But we think that this will work because the market is ready for it, because of mobile, for one. I think that leasing brokers and tenants now have access. I think that there's a demand for the consumer to drive the decisions, because all of this is all about tenants. They're really the customer here, and I think it's time that we put them first.
All right, thank you. We're doing one question.
Thank you.
All right, next up, from Ontario, Pinpoint, the most accurate and easy-to-use site selection platform. We help landlords, brokers, and retailers use the best sites in order to maximize sales.
We're Pinpoint, and we help commercial real estate professionals find the best locations for their retail clients. Our clients already include Cushman & Wakefield, RioCan REIT, and one of the largest top 3 quick service restaurants in the world. So if you're CBRE or DTZ, we give you the location data to help your leasing agents close deals faster. So I actually printed these off from your websites this morning, and your agents are still using static reports with fragmented data to
Shame on you.
lease and sell properties.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But with Pinpoint, we bring the power of the entire Starbucks location and real estate team into a simple and easy to use web app with real-time reports. So with Pinpoint, we give you the location data to close deals faster. Thank you. I'm Rajan and I'm from Pinpoint. Be happy to leave these with you.
So what's not static about Pinpoint? What non-static information do you give?
So a lot of the GIS application, geographic information systems applications that are being used, they're often being used with data sets that are updated on a quarterly basis. So somebody has to bring them in, update it. We buy a lot of our data through APIs. It's also pushed out over the cloud in a real-time format. So now, when the leasing agent is out there on a site tour and somebody asks, you know what, I actually want to see the demographics, not from 1 to 125K, but 150K plus, they can look it up on their iPad, quickly change, and it's real time for them to say, you know what, this is a better location in this particular trade area.
Y Combinator, right?
Yeah, YC.
There you go.
Thank you. You heard of us?
I have now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, from Tucson, Arizona, F9 Analytics. We build the intelligent tools so you can lease smarter.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. I did pitch Adam earlier, and I'll try not to say calculus again, but what F9 Analytics does is kind of different than most people do here. We love finance, and this building is a collection of leases. And if they don't pencil, we wouldn't be in this building. So we focus primarily all of our attention towards lease finance. One of the reasons I'm here, kind of late presenting, is we rolled out a product last week on Tuesday, and it's basically an algorithm and you can look this up. It's the first of its kind that's ever optimized a commercial lease. So you can sit on your mobile phone or at your desk with your asset management team. You can get one number, which is a net present value of a lease for a particular project you're looking at, and key in the multiple variables and solve for it instantly when you're with the client.
Cool. We're going to move to questions.
Okay.
I had my questions earlier, so you guys can.
So you have an algorithm. I like algorithms.
I know.
Yes, that and machine learning,
Yeah.
data science. What do you think are the analytics that are going to? What do you think are going to be the most valuable derivatives out of your platform? That is, aside from the immediate tools that's being used now, how is the collection of that data going to benefit?
Well, it's going to benefit because a process that took, let's say, a leasing liaison and asset management team maybe a week to identify for the tenant that wants that space, now they can compress that down to seconds and negotiate on the spot. It's never been done. And that's what I want them to do, because it'll benefit. Because if you have 52 leases, it'll take 52 weeks. This gets it done.
And do you think that it will drive towards, your tool will help drive towards standardizing lease forms?
Yes. I mean, anything where you can systematize a process that's broken, that's using an Excel, you're going to benefit.
All right, thank you.
Nice job. Next up, from Belmont, California, Equal. The Equal Smart Pen lets you seamlessly create, capture, and share your ideas from paper to digital to the cloud.
Thank you. Greg Applehoff, Luidia, Belmont, California. We're introducing here a product called Smart Marker, and a Smart Marker takes a regular Expo marker that most people use. Has anybody ever whiteboarded? Yes, I believe you all have whiteboarded. And how have you captured those ideas? Probably with the camera or the smartphone in your pocket. But what have you been able to do with those ideas at that point? Have you been able to share them have you more importantly been able to stream them to your mobile workers across the world? Equal Smart Marker, announced today, allows you to do that. We have a pen holder and a sensor that allows you to share that data, capture that whiteboard, and share anywhere in the world. Thank you.
What does it cost?
$700. And the application is free. So in one conference room, you'd have this connects via Bluetooth, and then to all of your employees or other people that you want to share with, we have a free application that works on all platforms.
And what does the output look like, the shared?
Exactly
output?
like the whiteboard.
Okay.
And it's real time.
Is it something you can manipulate, or is it an image?
Yes, you can manipulate it. You can change colors, you can add photographs to it, you can change it any way you'd like.
Is it an image file, or it's something?
It's a vector file, so we can make it as big as you want it. So we can work on 16 feet by 5 feet with this little sensor right in the middle of the board.
How are you going to keep people from stealing them?
It's going to be like your smartphone. It's a Bluetooth device, so you're going to carry this. This will be your product. I'll bring it into the conference room. I'll leave with it in the conference room. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, from Austin, Texas, Real Massive. Commercial real estate in real time. We believe open data and operational transparency build trust, collaboration, and massive value in CRE marketing.
Good evening. My name is Craig Hancock. I'm a co-founder and president of Real Massive, and we are a data-driven software company that is helping commercial real estate realize the power of open data. Our platform was built in partnership with Google, and we enable the professional to manage and market and syndicate their office, industrial, and retail availabilities anywhere they want it to go. We launched Chicago on Monday. It's our 19th marketplace. It brought us above 3 billion square feet of coverage across the country. We'll be in 40 markets by March and 70 plus by the end of this year. And for anybody that's interested, we have an open API for partners and customers as well.
How do you protect yourself from CoStar coming in and saying thank you for coming up with this idea, but we'll now take you out?
Well, first of all, we don't get anything from other data providers in terms of content. All of our data is sourced directly from the landlord or their selected exclusive third-party listing agent.
And what's the revenue model?
So the power of open data is going to allow us to help the industry do interesting things with data, a la data science and machine learning, that is not possible as long as the data lives in discrete closed data systems.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up, from Chicago, Illinois, 3DCRE. 3DCRE is offering a completely new way to represent and envision commercial real estate.
Thanks. My name's Dave Lawand. I'm with 3DCRE. And as you can imagine by the name, we handle 3D commercial real estate, envisioning commercial real estate in 3D. We provide cost-effective, quick turnaround, 3D architectural models. And our typical client is mostly retail. So we mostly serve national retailers, and these are people who know where they want to go, where they want to be located. They just may not know exactly where within a development. So we help envision that potential build, where their project is going to exist, and how it might look from a variety of different vantage points. And well, I was pretty much done. I just wanted to separate ourselves, though, from other 3D in that we typically serve only retail. Now, we didn't plan it that way, but it just so happens that they've been most interested in our services because it seems that they require more than any other product type that quick turnaround. Questions?
So how do you implement it? Is it something that you can do in real time, or is it?
We have a weapon of choice, and that is Google SketchUp. Google SketchUp allows us to create a 3D model in the amount of time we can get it back to them. And we don't necessarily require CAD or photos of any kind. Oftentimes we have to source from wherever we can find, be it Google Street View or flyers or anything that we can find related to a development, and kind of mash it all together and return it in some sort of a deliverable, which is usually a movie or a screenshot. Oftentimes it's not a interactive model. We came out of the gates as a marketing company who would offer you a final deliverable of an interactive model. What we found is there's more interest in push a button and watch the movie play, or here's a 3D architectural model, but in 2D format that is a conversation piece to provide transparency to a deal. So it's really more of an informative tool we found than a marketing tool.
How scalable are you guys? Are you scalable? Like so pulling together all of those different sources seems very manual. It seems a little complex.
Well,
If you had 100,000 orders in 1 week, could you provide it?
For me now, it's simple for me now in that there's, I have just a certain pool of interested clients who are those that I've met, in my case, through ICSC. We have a close partnership with ICSC. In fact, they're a client of ours. So right now we just have a few national retailers and some larger developers and a few brokerage firms. But we found that it's the national retailers that are the most receptive. They know what they want. They have a typical 1, 2, or 3 different type of buildings that they'll supply us in CAD. And we've developed a little bit of a library of retail bricks and mortar that we can then put in place. For example, if on the other side a developer wants to showcase. So it's interesting, the library that we've developed. But is it scalable? I don't know. Right now it's working for us. So we're a little bit different from a lot of the other companies here in that we're really not disruptors so much as we are informers.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up from New York, Asset Dynamics, commercial real estate cash flow calculator for office, retail, and industrial. Share with any email access on any device.
Hi everyone, my name is Elie. Today we have brokers around the country that are selling their properties based on in-place or historical performance. But the investors that they work with are always looking into the future and how to add value. They can do things like renovating, leasing the vacant spaces, or releasing spaces at market rents. So the question becomes, how can you easily project that value and then package it nicely? So Asset Dynamics is exactly that, a pro forma in the cloud that's secure, easy, and accessible for real estate projection and valuation. You can collaborate and view on any device, and you can share with any email address. You put in things like tenants and expenses, and we calculate the rest for you. AssetDynamics.co, you can sign up for a free account, and I'll be over by the booze. You guys can come chat with me.
So, for years before the cloud, people did this by exchanging Argus files, right?
That's right.
So, what is your big differentiator between, well, I'll call it between Argus Enterprise and what they're coming out with, and what do you think what do you think your big differentiator from them is going to be 2 years from now?
Okay, so Argus is very, very slowly moving to the cloud. They actually have jobs available for what we've already done, and that is projections in the cloud that's shareable to any email address and in the browser. So we're just kind of ahead of them doing those calculations. In the end, it's all that nitty-gritty calculation that you wouldn't want to do in a spreadsheet, and being able to send it around to anybody to share that value.
But one of the reasons that Argus has been so successful and has hung on for so long is because everybody trusts that their calculations work and understand how they work and is accustomed to it, right?
Yeah, we have a track record with private equity companies based on our proprietary models.
Got it. Thank you.
Next up from Boston, Build Up, connecting buildings with people.
Build Up tells the story of commercial real estate projects. When a project is approved at the board level, a project profile page is made. We optimize that project profile page with content, pictures, videos, virtual tours. We also write articles. These profile pages drive inbound leads for the developers and the marketing teams that are doing the eventual sales. Our Build Up database is updated. It's a living and breathing organism. We nailed this product in Boston, and we're now raising a seed round to go across the country. Thank you. Any questions?
You say you nailed it in Boston. What does that mean?
It means that after the last Disrupt forum that we did, the two largest developers in the city called us and sent us their projects, Boston Global Investors and Boston Properties, because they wanted to get more exposure, they wanted to connect with China and Brazil, and this platform allows people to communicate with each other if they see a public project that they like. So it assists over and above the marketing that's available today for developers and property owners. Think of it as a listing service that's public and free to anyone. It's content driven.
I think we're done.
Thank you.
I just have one comment. Go
Thank you.
Seahawks.
It's all about Tom, buddy. It's all about Tom. Good luck.
I support you in that.
Okay.
Deflate a few footballs.
Nice job. Next up from Chicago, LITech, providing affordable housing owners a crowdfunding platform to promote their LITech projects and individuals an opportunity to invest in their communities.
Thank you. The low-income housing tax credit, pronounced LITech, is the primary means of developing affordable housing and one of the most successful public-private partnerships in our country today. Unfortunately, the individual investor is blocked out from accessing this credit, which is dominated by institutions, primarily banks, which hold about 90% of these tax credits. We formed a social venture that is utilizing crowdfunding technology to bring the individual investor back into this marketplace because, in our opinion, providing people in the community an opportunity to invest in these projects would counter a lot of the NIMBYism that obstructs the development of this. I would encourage you afterwards to, during the cocktail hour, we've got a thing set up where you can sign up online and be ready for any newsletters that come out on projects that we bring online. Thank you.
So you, in the Pure Realty, one of your fellow founders,
Yep.
have a similar concept, but of course for quote-unquote investment, different types of investment. Same questions with you. Do you pre-qualify? Do you accredit your investors? Is it a similar model?
Yeah, the process is the same thing. So we all follow the same rules in regards to the jobs regs and the accreditation process. However, there are certain tax credits here in the state of Illinois, and one of our initial products are going to be the Illinois state-specific tax credit, which is really more donation-based, not equity. So you can bypass all of that, and anyone can, non-accredited or accredited, can participate in that.
Have you looked at any of the brokerage firms for partnership opportunities and perhaps a public-private brokerage partnership?
Well, the brokerages that cater to this are doing mostly in the resale after the compliance period is passed. Projects that we're focusing on are really have yet to be developed. So brokers are rarely involved in that. Most of them actually end up going to syndicators to raise the equity funding for their new projects.
But could their foundations perhaps be an interesting target for you?
Their foundations?
Could the foundations, could CBRE Foundation or DTZ Foundation?
Oh, yeah,
perhaps?
well, if by the foundations you mean by not-for-profit foundations, exactly. We're actually forming ourselves as an L3C, which is a specific LLC that is eligible for foundation grants. So it's similar to a nonprofit, except that we actually do generate some profits.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
And now for something a little different. From Chicago, Illinois, Herbfront, real estate market exchange, regulated, legalized for cannabis, commercial real estate, zoning research, and consulting.
Thank you, Tom. So everyone, there's untapped gold in your building, but before you mine that gold, you need a map. You need a treasure map to find it. The legalized cannabis real estate, the legalized regulated cannabis industry is a $50 billion industry in America this year. If 10% of that goes to real estate, that means it's a $5 billion industry, and it's growing faster than any other segment in the country. So how do you access this budding industry? How do you, there's more. How do you find the zoning maps and the consulting and the expertise to find the right property? Herbfront is that property. Now, you all may be, Herbfront is that platform. Now, you may be saying, Matt, marijuana is not legal where I'm from. Well, that's about to change. And you may pass on grass, but there are limited opportunities in every community in the country that can make your property go from X to 5X to multiples more than that. Thank you.
Matt, did you bring any samples?
No.
Are you?
And I hate to disappoint everybody, we're actually really boring. Yeah, no samples, sorry.
What about a joint venture?
We've considered joint ventures. I'll keep you posted on our seed round.
Nice. Just as long as this whole thing doesn't go up in a puff of smoke, I think we'll be okay.
I can keep going.
In all seriousness, what kind of development context or what kind of retail context are people finding is most successful for legalized cannabis sale storefronts?
Nobody's really finding success with anything, I think, at this point, which is why we've been so well received. We've had pre-orders for our consulting services from 5 different states at this point. We haven't even launched yet, so it's a huge problem in the market that obviously we're trying to address.
I mean, but is there a vision of what kind of environment? And I'm from, as I said, I'm born and raised in Seattle, so we're sort of on the forefront of experimenting with this.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's high now, actually.
You may want to talk to him afterwards.
We consider ourselves the gateway into this industry, but I'm just curious. What kind of retail environments do we? I would put it next to Ben and Jerry's personally.
Right,
but,
right. Well, there are certain sensitive issues that are ubiquitous across the board, starting with distance from a school and moving down beyond that. Its locations to daycares, other cannabis facilities, rehab facilities, and each state and each municipality has their own requirements.
Got it.
What makes you the expert? And what keeps us from building that practice?
Well, we have 4 masters in zoning and city planning on our staff. I can tell you that the technology behind this is very complex. Like anything else, you could, if you wanted to make a strong effort, you might be able to build it.
But is the market big enough so that? What's your projection? Are you looking for 1% of that 50? What's your target for?
Well, our target is any state that is choosing to lawfully, enter this industry. Some are, some aren't. I think it's important to point out that our zoning and mapping technology is powerful enough that it transcends more than just the cannabis industry. Anything that is zoning intensive, like
So
retail,
you could
medical,
possibly do life sciences or pharma or other things as well.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, John.
From Chicago, Illinois, Megalytics. Megalytics is a big data analytics cloud platform which provides real-time credit, due diligence, and risk assessments for commercial real estate owners and managers.
Thank you, Tom. Don't have to repeat what he just said. So we deliver our analytics and our capabilities through a cloud-based software as a service platform that underwriters or commercial real estate property owners can access to be able to do much deeper forensics and due diligence on the tenants that they're going to be adding in their properties. For example, we're working with a client in River North that is looking to do a $5.5 billion build-out in tenant improvements, and the investment company asked them, how much due diligence have you provided on them? And they gave them a simple rent roll and a tax return. And long story short, they said, you better do a little bit more due diligence. They hired us, and we got on the green light.
Questions?
How do you compare with Remeter, the first presenter who said that they had a proprietary source of data that was direct from the government?
Well, it's not necessarily proprietary. Many individuals or organizations have access to all the same data sources, so it's not necessarily getting or having the data. It's actually what you do with it and harmonizing the data from the different sources, whether it's the IRS tax return, the Census Bureau, and all the other proprietary sources are out there.
Okay.
So talk about your secret sauce.
So we have two advisory board members. One is Suzanne Cannon, and she heads up to Paul's Real Estate Center and does a lot of due diligence. And we have Rebel Cole, who's a PhD and one of the top Google scholars in analytics, who helped us build our proprietary scoring system to give much better forensics and analysis than anything else that they can get.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Next up from Chicago, LCP 360, Ultimate 360 Sales and Marketing Tools Google Business Photo Program, LCP 360.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Lissack, VP of Sales at LCP 360. We kind of view ourselves as a full-service visual marketing company, offering programs like the Google Maps Business View program, custom virtual tours, 3D design, architectural renderings, and most recently, drone videography and photography. How are we disrupting CRE? That's with the Google Maps Business View program. In plain English, that's Google Street View now going indoors. So we're different because we're partnered with Google as of January 2013, and we reach out to owners, managers, commercial real estate companies and say, hey, do you want to get your building on Google Maps? We dispatch a photographer, they capture the digital content, and we optimize your Google Places page while getting digital content. Thanks, everyone.
How many properties do you have?
Both custom in Google or just in general? Either one?
On your platform, yeah.
We have probably over 700 properties. Growing daily.
Over since 2013, you said?
We started about 4 years ago, and the Google program started for us in January 2013.
And then, so what's your method of capture? How are you capturing all this?
Solicitation of new business. I'm gonna knock on your door.
And then you walk through and take photos, or what's the...
Well, of course, we solicit, for instance, to owner. We present, get the admin stuff out of the way, and then we go out and actually capture the digital content, and then we have back-end access into Google Places, Maps, and Street View.
But capturing the digital content, is this people walking through with cameras, or?
Right, so we have about 500 photographers that we work with. We'll dispatch them to your property, they'll capture the content, and then we bring it back, stitch it, and put it up on Google Maps and Places.
Got it. You have a drone.
I do.
Can I have it?
For $8,000 you can.
For free?
$8,000.
Oh, okay. I thought it could work. What do you think is going to be the when do you think the FAA is going to create a regulatory environment that makes it safe and practical and scalable for people to start using drones for commercial real estate photography?
You know, it's really difficult to say. It's such a gray area. There's a lot of things going on. Everyone's buying a drone. There's certain companies that have licenses, but I really can't say where it's going. But a lot of companies are operating within imaginary lines, and that's all I can say about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
From Chicago, SpaceTrack, dynamic software that streamlines the data gathering, evaluation, and management of space for architects, interior designers, facility managers, and real estate consultants. Guys, can you keep it down back there, please?
I am the token one. Yeah, my name's yay. My name's Christine O'Halloran, and I'm here to introduce SpaceTrack, a software that streamlines the data gathering, evaluation, and management of space for facility managers, architects, interior designers, and real estate consultants. 30 years have helped shape this software that will revolutionize the front end of projects similar to what AutoCAD has done for drawings. Up until now, the pre-design and programming / needs assessment phase of projects has been done manually through interviews and then calculating and translating the data onto spreadsheets. It's time that our industry, he's waving at me, it's time that our industry pay attention to where we're headed and what we need to do as far as design and the critical steps that it takes to make a good environment.
So how do you gather the data?
Well, you can do it a couple of different ways, but we engage stakeholders. We launch out to stakeholders, so those people that are involved in departments that know the information can provide that online, and then it calculates automatically their square footage and budgets.
Got it.
Is it optimized for office or which environment are you targeting?
Well, corporate office is number one, but healthcare, higher education, any kind of space requirements, you have to figure out what you need. So it's really all about that upfront gathering of the data so that we make good projects.
Space stations, can you help?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm there.
Excellent.
What's your client base look like now?
Our client base, we have quite a range. We have facility managers, we have architects and designers, but we also have strategic partnership currently with a modular wall manufacturer. They're interested in educating their clients on what projects will cost early so that when they get into a project, the clients don't figure out that they can't afford what they want to build.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. From Boston, Turning Art, a turnkey artwork service designed for today's businesses.
Hi, I'm Jason Gressler, the founder and CEO of Turning Art, and as I found out in our Twitter profile today, we're turnkey artwork service for office-based businesses and commercial and multifamily real estate. We provide fresh, local artwork across the country whenever you want at a fraction of the cost of buying a single original piece. And we take care of everything from design all the way through to installation and rotation. We work with companies as small as 10 employees all the way up to 10,000 employees. And we have clients across the entire country. If you're thinking about artwork for a business or a commercial property, you would be crazy not to talk to us. And we actually have hopefully a demonstration of our service in the back as we just received a snow-delayed shipment of artwork. So fresh artwork in the gallery. Get a drink, come by and talk to us. We'd love to tell you more about the service.
What's the minimum term for a piece of art to be installed?
For our commercial clients, we work on a annual contract. And we can set up rotation and size and custom packages however you want.
Because I'm thinking about some of the companies here that are helping people find temporary midterm office space. Companies that are about to be presenting, some of them that are, and whether there's a way to whether you're going to be in the business at all of helping people customize spaces that they're only going to be in for a short while, but may want to expand later.
Absolutely. We've actually done some experimentation with home stagers. As an example, we get a lot of requests about it, and it absolutely fits into the model. We'd love to have a launch partner.
Got it.
What's your favorite piece of art?
My favorite piece of art is the most recent artwork that went out to a client. And then beyond that, personally, is I generally like very complicated pieces or Boston artwork.
Thank you very
Excellent.
much.
Next up from Chicago, RealLink, mobile web platform enabling live virtual tours of real estate, bringing you real estate in real time.
Thanks, Tom. I'm Matt Wyrick, co-founder, CEO of RealLink here in Chicago. At a very high level, what we have and what we do is enable live virtual tours of real estate. And why we really hone in on that live aspect of it is because that we as a company, we believe that real is what life is all about. We believe that real interactions and real conversations with people are the most impactful interactions and the most impactful experiences. So that's what we're doing with RealLink. We're enabling those live interactions and live tours of spaces using nothing more than a smartphone or a tablet.
So let me get this straight. The agent is in the space and they're broadcasting back to client. Is that correct?
Correct. They would be in the space broadcasting that video.
So are you familiar with the double robot?
Double robot?
The double robot.
Then,
So the double robot is it's a robot that sits on one wheel and has a gyroscope and basically has an iPad in the top, and the double moves around, and essentially becomes a remote face.
Sure.
So I'm just wondering whether you see this as something that can be flipped on its head, whether the importance is having, and whether you think it's more important to have the agent in the space or with the client.
so I guess my two challenges to you against that robot: one, how much does that cost? And then two,
A couple $1,000.
So our platform, DIY, you don't have to carry around a robot with you. You just have your phone in your pocket, and you can connect with your clients no matter where they are in the world.
But
And then the
wouldn't
sec-
your platform actually be complementary to that robot? So an agent and the client could be in different places, and the robot could be in a third place, and your platform could be using by all three with a double robot making maybe a triple robot situation.
Exactly. Like I said, I mean, the core of our business is enabling those real-time interactions and experiences. So whether it's a robot, whether it's integrating with drone technology, whatever it is, as long as there's real interactions with the space and the clients and the broker, that's what we're really looking to empower.
Piece of advice: if you do ever get a double robot or a robot at all, tell your spouse before you turn it on in the house, okay? Because that
What did
was a
you do,
mistake.
Elie? What
Yeah,
did you
I
do?
did that. I did that. It took a while.
Story time.
I'll tell you that at drinks.
Perfect.
No comment.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You dream of robots, don't you?
They dream of me.
Next up, Chicago, Illinois, Commercial Connected. It's time to close more commercial real estate transactions. Upload, update, and remove listings automatically. Unlimited leads, all free commercial real estate.
Wait, are you a twin?
I'm back for the drug-free portion. So listen, commercial real estate professionals are missing out on deals all the time. You spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of money looking for deals. Some you get, a lot of them you don't. And that's why I invented Commercial Connected. Commercial Connected is a double-sided market. We have buyers, sellers, tenants, landlords. Our algorithm connects both parties to the transaction, so you never miss a deal. It's kind of like an eHarmony. We match you based on your requirements, so you never miss an opportunity in the market.
Listings.
Yes.
So are you head-to-head with Real Massive?
Not necessarily. We've got a couple thousand users, couple thousand listings, plentiful buyers and tenants on the platform, but I have not looked very closely at Real Massive.
Okay. How do you get people to your site?
We've got a strong SEO program. We're based here in Chicago. We've focused on Chicago. The majority of our listings are here in Chicago, even though we've signed accounts with national platforms to connect to our open API. So we're nationwide, but still primarily focused in Chicago.
It's all free. What's your revenue?
Our revenue comes from our market partners. Every time an algorithm connects a buyer and a seller, or a tenant and a landlord, a market partner who is a general contractor, an accountant, a finance, someone local in that market, is very hyper-local, pays to sponsor that connection.
Got it. Thank you.
Next up from Houston, Texas, RealNex. We're building a holistic suite of commercial real estate technology solutions. Our current products include REA, REI-Wise, Property Line, 10-8 app, and Buzz Target.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Finn, CEO of RealNex. We see the commercial real estate technology industry as being highly fragmented and without the great adoption that it should have with so many products out in the marketplace. We think part of the problem is that there are many individual point solutions that need to be aggregated and integrated to provide the comprehensive solutions that the market is desiring. And because the different solutions in the market are only solving a certain problem, their price is too high and the value is not as comprehensive as it needs. So our strategy is to acquire a portfolio of leading-edge commercial real estate solutions, integrate their data, harmonize the interface so that one solution can provide the suite of solutions that each sector of the industry needs. We started in the commercial brokerage realm, but are moving into valuation, lending, asset management, ownership, and occupier services. So applications for each one of these industries will be able to share data while having applications that serve their specific needs.
So if I had $1 for every time someone said to me, I wish there was just one end-to-end solution, I'd be very, very rich. But there are, the issue with, it sounds like you're providing an end-to-end solution, but how are you finding once you go out to clients, each of those clients still all have their own proprietary solutions that they want to hook in to solve one or more of those problems that you're discussing. And so after all, there are integration issues and then therefore no one end-to-end solution. So is that a problem that you're finding, or are you targeting smaller firms that don't necessarily have these proprietary systems, or how are you addressing that market?
That is the problem that we're addressing. My background was from the brokerage industry. I was a CEO at NAI Global. We had to build all of those tools ourselves. There was nothing in the market that we found that could provide the solution that we needed. And so we're dealing with companies that have to enhance, maintain, and upgrade those proprietary systems. Our view is that over time, some proprietary tools will be outsourced, and then those companies will be able to take advantage of the full complement that we offer.
So
in the
you want
meantime,
them to
there
throw
could be
out their stuff to use yours.
We have pieces that they can use discreetly, or the whole suite that they can use in combination. And in the meantime, they would use their legacy product to solve certain things that they might see as unique to themselves.
Why did you think that this is the right time in the market cycle to begin doing a roll-up? Because most of the companies here are point solutions and doing we got a lot of startups that are laser focused on doing a single point in the transaction or bringing a single piece of value to the value chain. Why is this the right time to be rolling up?
I guess a number of unique circumstances have come together. One, coming out of the economic cycle, there are companies that are looking for a more comprehensive play, and they're working with people like yourselves that are studying the industry in a way that they didn't 5 years ago. They were hunkered down, looking how to cut costs and not look at how to invest in technology to advance. There's a demographic shift in the market that we've heard about a lot today that's demanding the technology, and there's the client demand that's expecting more from the brokerage world and the whole industry than it's ever expected before. So we think that the alignment of capital formation to come into the technology space, the fledgling nature of a lot of these other companies that are out there that need infrastructure and support, they need development resources, they need marketing resources, they need access to business development, management infrastructure, and they're all trying to do it typically with one entrepreneur wearing multiple hats and unable to have the efficiencies that you can with a consolidation that can keep the cost down.
Got it. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
All right, hang in there. There's only 4 more. From Boulder, Colorado, Pivot Desk. We're helping startups that need space find host companies that have space. Join us in our new blog series, Been There, Done That.
Thank you very much. So real estate is static and businesses are dynamic. You guys heard me talk about that this morning. And we at Pivot Desk are making it so the two sides actually work together. Companies that have unused or excess space can post that on pivotdesk.com. It's all done on a per person, per month basis. And then startups and small to medium-sized businesses can actually book space directly on our site. We handle all the paperwork. We do the contracts. We do the payment processing. We do all the accounting and invoicing on the back end to make it super, super simple to grow your business. We also have a second platform that sits on top of Pivot Desk called Cultivate that allows commercial brokers and landlords to leverage Pivot Desk services so that they can join that real estate structure being static with the dynamic businesses. I'm Alex with Pivot Desk. Thank you.
I think Pivot Desk is awesome, and I think that you guys have a lot of great, the solution is absolutely something that's going to be needed in the future because of the changing workforces and the dynamics. So, question about competitive nature. So there's Pivot Desk and there's Liquid Space and there's Desk Time here in Chicago. So you think you guys all join forces or one of you wins?
I think joining forces is probably more likely. We don't really compete with either of those companies. Desk Time is more for known spaces or co-working spaces and really managing that. And then Liquid Space is more of an on-demand platform. So if you need to have space in New York or San Francisco for a day or for a couple hours, that's really a fantastic solution. But when you're in a co-working space and you grow from 4 people to 10 people to 15 people, but you're not yet ready for a lease, that's what Pivot Desk is for, is to really help you take your business from one stage as far as that feasibility to all the way to I'm actually ready to handle a 5 or a 10 or a 20-year lease.
And Do you have a way of involving brokers?
Absolutely. It's called Cultivate, and we help cultivate. We have a marketing team. It's pretty good. Cultivate the relationship so that at any point in time, we are not brokers. We are not licensed to be brokers. But at any point in time, the brokers, they're your clients. And so we give them back when they're ready for a lease, and we just offset the costs when there are some. Absolutely. Let it rip, Elie.
What? We're supposed to move on? Okay. Well, I love Pivot Desk too, and look, if you're a real estate broker who is cultivating technology companies, why shouldn't they fear you?
So the biggest thing is we're not licensed brokers. I can't do a lease if I tried. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to actually partner with the brokers. So when they're actually doing a lease, traditionally when somebody actually does a lease, they only use around 60 to 70% of that space the day after they move in. Pivot Desk offsets those added costs so that it's actually a broker's friend. So they look like a rock star, and then the company can grow into their own space when they're ready to. It's all about Pivot Desk.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
From New York, Real Liquidity, market exchange where properties are broken into shares, presented on an exchange and traded publicly like stocks, disrupting the way real estate is done. All right, you're right.
Come on, man.
Sorry, I was talking about skiing.
Gotta be here to win.
I've been waiting so long, I started venturing off into other stuff. Sorry. So, hi, my name is Kevin Guy from Real Liquidity. For most of the participants in the $15 trillion commercial real estate market, traditional debt finance has been the primary funding option. As crowdfunding changes the landscape for investors, many are asking one simple question. If I invest in crowdfunding, how do I get my money out? Real Liquidity is going to change that. Real Liquidity is about to introduce a second market exchange-based traditional trading platform to buy and sell crowdfunded shares in real estate. By opening up commercial real estate investments through crowdfunding portals, and by offering a transparent way to trade and provide liquidity for those shares, many new commercial real estate investors gain the kind of market advantage currently held by a very small elite group. Making what has always been essentially an illiquid asset into a liquid one, Real Liquidity introduces a transformative, disruptive business model that can fundamentally change how we buy and sell real estate. We see a future.
We're going to go to questions.
Where?
They're giving you the.
All right.
Sorry, I got the hook.
So I kind of get what's in it for the investors. What's the benefit for developers?
Our platform doesn't really cater to developers. So as the portals, as they come up with crowdfunded projects, we take the shares in those crowdfunded projects and put them on our second market.
So the properties are coming from?
They come from traditional crowdfunded portals like Realty Mogul, Fundrise.
You're supposed to say that it benefits the developers because more people will do crowdfunding because they'll have a way of getting liquid.
Sort of, but it really benefits the crowdfunded portals because when investors come in, they now have a way to provide liquidity. As everybody knows, real estate is an illiquid asset. So what we're trying to do is long-term, turn this into something like an E-trade for shares in real estate. At some point in the future, you'll be able to buy a share of this building, for example.
In a world.
Oh, I like that.
In a world where companies like Pivot Desk and Liquid Space and Leasable are creating highly liquid demand that's moving around, how do you expect that your secondary market for essentially the shares of that will be able to trade, and how will you deliver information to the market given the fact that demand may be moving in and out of these buildings much faster than it has to date?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. In the crowdfunded industry right now, it's fairly minute. As it gains more traction and there's more velocity, that's going to be key. And so, we're going to be building the market, so when those opportunities come along, people will have the option to diversify, invest in a building in Chicago, one in San Francisco, without having to be a mega developer / investor.
Are you Conan O'Brien?
Are you Andy Garcia? Hey, he does. That's a compliment. We know each other. He knows I'm joking. He knows I'm joking.
All right, thanks.
Thanks a
you.
lot. Thank you.
It's getting late. Next up from Chicago, Leasable. Book on-demand office and retail space from 1 day to 3 years.
Thank you very much. $80 billion. It's a lot of money. Well, that's how much rent landlords leave on the table every year, just in the United States. That's crazy. Leasable is here to solve that. Leasable lets businesses book entire offices and storefronts in a matter of minutes instead of months. It's as easy as booking a trip online. So that's all we do. Thanks.
So earlier today, you told me that you were the Airbnb.
Yeah. You know what? It's X for Y, right? Airbnb, Orbitz. What we do is we take inventory and we make it super easy to access.
So are you struggling? So like Airbnb recently has run into some of the protests in certain markets. France is saying, get out. We don't want you anymore. And the liquidity in the space is actually hurting because someone that buys an entire floor for 10 years doesn't necessarily want Joe Blow cannabis guy to rent a couple of desks. So how are you addressing that?
Well, this is commercial space, so it's meant to be commercialized, right? So we don't have that conflict, and we don't have the regulation conflict that Uber does either.
Well, yeah, I got a question.
Yeah.
And why you?
Why me?
Why? Yeah, so what makes you different from all the other guys who are in this space? There's a lot of companies coming in there. What's the hook that you think is going to help you create the market?
Absolutely. My training and background is as a journalist. I was with the Chicago Tribune for 10 years, helped win a Pulitzer Prize there. I can connect dots in a way that people inside the industry can't. I've had I'm solving my own itch, scratching my own itch. I tried to do this with the co-working space back in 2009 and ran into this problem. I'm solving it. There's a lot of people who want it.
Great, thank you.
Last but not least, from Chicago, Idealty Real Estate. We are revitalizing residential real estate for innovators.
Thank you very much. My name is Preston Jones, and we are probably one of the few, if not only, residential brokerages here. And what we say we're doing is that we're bringing a fresh, design-minded approach to a residential real estate brokerage services landscape that was badly in need of a creative kickstart. And the best way I can kind of describe that to you is that everyone in this room and who's presented are all forward-thinking innovators. They're creative professionals, right? And what we noticed is that real estate brokerages services, you all need homes, but nobody was speaking to you on your level. Nobody was telling you, reaching out to you in interesting and creative ways and helping you market your properties in interesting, creative ways and helping you find homes that make you feel alive. And that's what we're doing. We're revitalizing real estate for you guys. Yeah.
How are you doing that?
Yeah, good question. A lot of different ways, but on the buy side, from someone who's looking to buy a home, we find out who you are first, really, and how you see the world and the kinds of things you do. And we take you to different places in the city that make you, start to get a sense of who you are and how you vibe, really. And then find homes for you that bring that out in you. Find out how you see the world and then help you find a home that's going to help you build that, right?
This is going to sound flip, but this is a commercial real estate technology event. This sounds like you are neither commercial nor technology.
Well,
Why are you here?
We're on the residential side, and everyone in commercial real estate here is doing some interesting things, and they need homes. So that's one reason. And two, we're leveraging technology in some interesting ways. And this kind of answers your question too. On with Instagram, instead of just saying, "Hey, here's a home that exists in the earth," we're saying, "Hey, here's how you can find some distressed wood and turn it into a DIY project with you and your wife on the weekend." And engaging consumers in a more interesting way that they're interested in. Yeah.
Disrupting client acquisition.
Disrupting client acquisition. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and just like, look, a lot of these brokerages are stuck in the dark ages. They're not doing anything fun. They're not doing anything exciting. They're not using technology in interesting ways. They're just saying, hey, we're here. You need a home. Come talk to us. Why? Why would you talk to them? Because they're boring. They're not doing anything fun. We're not boring. Look at me. I'm up here dancing around like a maniac.
So if I'm buying a home from you, first we go and hang out. And
Definitely. No, but that's true. That's true. Seriously, though, like it shouldn't just be, hey, what's your price point? How many bedrooms are you looking for, and where in the city? It's like, hey, how do you see the world? What kind of things are you trying to build into the world? How are you trying to create the life that you're living, and how can we help you do that more fluidly? You know.
So what would be fascinating to me is if you can put that type of narrative science, it's another company, you can put that type of science into a Zillow, I think it would be captivating.
Right.
I struggle to see how it's scalable and how it could actually be marketed. So if you could somehow make AI, for instance, technology behind a Zillow or behind a Trulia that actually did that, I'd be absolutely captivated.
Yeah, and where we're just starting with is really just the design, right? I mean, from the way our website looks to the way that we represent ourselves on social media, it's a little bit more innovative, a little bit more creative, a little bit more from the heart. And you're right, being able to make that a little bit more scalable is a challenge we'll have in the future. But where we're starting right now is with a core group of people who are really changing the world and helping them find their homes, you know?
All right. Well, sounds like a party. Speaking of which.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
We're here live overtime after the 45 at 4:45 pitch session. We have Elie Finegold here with us and Constance Freedman. Thank you for joining us. You two were, I don't want to say judges because we weren't here judging anything, but you had an opportunity to watch 20 plus technology companies, a lot from Chicago, pitch who they are and what they do. What was your reaction? Some of the things you liked, didn't like, whatever you want to say, go ahead.
Well, I thought that one of the things that was most interesting was the fact that so many of these companies are companies that I haven't seen before. I lead innovation for CBRE globally, and I wind up seeing almost every company that's out there, I thought, until today. So there's clearly another second wave of technology companies that are emerging and that are receiving capital. And I think it's tremendously exciting for the industry, and it's great to see that some of them are coming out of cities other than New York and San Francisco, like right here in Chicago.
Yeah, there is a Chicago tech scene, by the way, and so it's actually a pretty good one. But we, me being from Chicago, but so I manage the investment arm, Second Century Ventures, and yeah, we're seeing companies all the time, new companies, but it's great to always see the new ones that are here. You guys picked some really good ones, some really good quality ones. I think that that's the main thing that stood out in my mind is that there wasn't one company that came in that I didn't think had some merit to it, and I think that some events you'll see pitch sessions where it doesn't really make any sense, but you guys really obviously did weeded through those and picked some really good quality ones. I think that anyone who is in the space right now should know about these companies, and I think you did a really good job of bringing them forth.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I thought one of the other things that stood out is that in a year and a half ago even, or even 6 months ago at your first event in Boston, there was an enormous focus on companies that were trying to replicate the data services that are currently being provided by incumbents in the market. This time, there's almost none of that. There was not a comment. We saw a couple companies that are focused on that, but mostly we're talking about people who are trying to really add value to the transaction and assuming that there's data, that the data is going to be there. So it seems to me that we may be entering a next generation of startup companies that have moved beyond the basic data problem because there's so much ambient data out there and so many ways to collect it that is no longer an issue. And that suggests, if it is true, that we've broken a major hurdle and we've broken through a major barrier to innovation in the industry that existed previously.
Right, and I think the exciting part, too, is not only the amount of companies, but it's how fast that's actually come. I was surprised I wasn't surprised at the tech scene in Chicago, but as from somebody that follows tech, you hear San Francisco, you hear New York, Boston, Cambridge, and Chicago doesn't fall on that list. When I came here, that was my expectation, and when I'm leaving here, Chicago deserves to be up there. I don't know if they're New York and San Francisco yet, but it's up there, and there are some fantastic companies, as you mentioned, that was here. So I was not surprised, but I'm leaving here very excited to come back and join the ecosystem.
On a panel earlier, we talked about the fact that in many ways, the companies that are being formed out of Chicago are taking their model from the city of Chicago, which is more representative of most cities and the dynamics of most cities than New York or San Francisco, which are fairly unique physical environments. So to me, Chicago is where the skyscraper really came into its own. So why wouldn't real estate technology companies also be born in the Windy City?
Yeah, and there's, if you look at funding around, we talk a lot about San Francisco and New York, but again, if you look at San Francisco, it's kind of its own place, right? So if you look at San Francisco, the next 5 cities basically get the same amount of venture funding as San Francisco does, but Chicago is squarely in that number 5 place, and so there is a lot of good venture money coming in here, a lot of startups that are really succeeding here, and yeah, providing a good need. But what I was also really kind of surprised about in this event too is that it wasn't just Chicago that was represented here. There are companies from Boston. There's 8 companies from
Ontario,
Boston.
a couple from Boston, Colorado, Arizona, Texas.
Yeah, people
very
that
well
came
represented.
from all over the country here, which I thought was great.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about the live cast is that we're on the internet, but we have a friend in Flat Turtle who you met, Christoph, who's over in Belgium watching. Hi, Christoph.
Christoph.
And he came to the Boston event, and it was just incredible. Because of social media and us putting this content out there, he came to us and said, "Hey, it's incredible what you're doing. We have a whole, what we're doing over here. We want to come and be a part of that." So it's a real global thing, it's fantastic.
Well, it really is, because at the end of the day, buildings are buildings, and the cities that we live in have more similarities than they do differences. So most of the solutions that are being put forth here are going to be scalable, at the very least within the United States, and most of them globally. And I think that I live in Dallas, which is another big real estate city, and there's also a burgeoning tech scene down there, a lot of it beginning to focus on real estate. So this wave is clearly yet to crest, and it's fascinating to be at the middle of it and to bring everybody together for it.
That's great. So if we were back here a year from now, which you're both invited back next year to this venue, or we're going to come back, what do you, if you had to make a prediction on one sector of the industry, if you could pick, that is going to see the most disruption in the next 12 months, what would you say?
I think there's a good chance that the commercialization of drones is going to be realized, or at least being close to being realized. So I think we're going to see a lot of applications to address that market.
Good, interesting.
I think that potentially appraisals and valuations, and that piece of the business is going to begin to see a fairly dramatic shift as what I've just described as this sudden rise in available ambient data starts to be mined to create insights about what buildings are worth in different ways that are disruptive to the current model.
Very interesting. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure to have you, and go have a drink.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Great event.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.